Hanako retreats from the side and I take my shot. Well done. It's only after Hanako says this that I realise the ball I was shooting at was sunk. I look at her and notice a small smile on her face. It's nice how playing games seems to loosen her up a little. Guess I'm stripes then. Ah, it is. Okay. I take a step back and let her take the next shot, but she doesn't advance to the table. Rather, she looks down a little and rubs her arm. By now, I can identify this as one of her gestures that means she wants to say something, but isn't sure of enough of herself to do it. What's up? It's just, you had a nice smile. Do you like playing this? I sigh and lean back against the table. Oh, I like playing, yeah. I think I was smiling because it's really nostalgic, though. Hanako tilts her head quizzically. Me and my friends used to play pool in the game centres near where we lived pretty often, and at night too. Well, wouldn't your parents? Oh, my parents both worked, so they didn't mind me not being in the house. I stayed on top of schoolwork pretty easily as well, so there's plenty of time to do other stuff at night. Our conversation dies down, with Hanako's timidity getting the better of her. In response, I get off the table and let her take her turn shooting. There aren't many solids in easy positions, so Hanako bends down and takes a while to line herself up properly. Hanako's expression is the same when we play chess. A relaxed but focused concentration. Athletes sometimes talk about getting into a zone where nothing unnecessary enters their mind, and I wonder if that's something she can do. Her posture is good. Better than mine, to be sure. It's very close to a textbook method of playing, whereas I tend to contort myself into whatever position I feel is most natural for the shot I'm taking. She lines up the cue. The cue comes back, and she does a couple of practice movements to make sure she's lined up correctly. Hanako takes games so seriously. It's the only really hobby I know she has outside of reading. Feels good to be able to share this kind of experience with her. She takes the shot after careful consideration, and the cue ball zooms off towards a ball sitting at a slightly awkward angle near a corner. Hanako's careful preparation pays off as the cue ball hits and sends the ball rolling towards the corner pocket. For a moment, it looks like it'll stop just on the lip of the hole, but it eventually tilts just enough to drop in. Man, that looked like a hard shot. If you can pull that off, I don't think I've got much hope. I'm not that good. It's not just the shot, though. Even when lining up, you looked really serious. You're like this with chess, too. The praise makes her a little flustered. She sets the cue against the table and stands turning to me. I just like those kinds of things. Her fingers are twisting and turning tightly. When I was in the orphanage, I just kept doing the things I liked before. If I played games with the others, that was enough for the helpers there, so... I'd never thought about it that way. Staff at an orphanage would naturally want to have everyone socialise at least a little. Oh, if it's okay for me to ask, what was it like for you at the orphanage? Why do you want to know? I've touched a nerve, but the fact that she responded at all shows there's at least a chance she'll answer my question. Before, she likely would just have shrunk away from it without a word. I'll tell you, but... But? Could you tell me who Iwanako is? Iwanako? Oh, the letter. I wonder how long she's been waiting for the right opportunity to ask me this. I'm surprised, but don't hesitate. Sharing information is naturally a matter of give and take. She's... someone I used to like. Her nervousness subsided, at least for the time it took to ask. Her curiosity is getting the better of her, and I feel a bit uncomfortable to be questioned on this, of all matters. There's no way I could spill out all my feelings about Iwanako here. I don't even know myself what my feelings regarding her are, even after talking to Yuko earlier, and I want to avoid the subject around Hanako. Hanako doesn't look overly satisfied with the awkward ending to the discussion, but thinks better of continuing it. She was only just managing to ask me in the first place, without knowing that I wouldn't want to talk about it. I move to finally take my own shot. The lack of talking between us is filled by the chatter of other patrons and the band at the other end of the club. Spying a shot that doesn't look too difficult, I try and shoot for it. The cue ball taps the ball and the trajectory is about right, but I put in too much power. It grazes the corner of the hole and moves off to the side, just skirting the pocket. I grip my teeth a little. I was pretty good at this game, and it's frustrating to have deteriorated so much. I step back and let Hanako take her turn, glancing towards the counter where Lily and Akira are sitting. They're talking busily between themselves and seem to be having a good time. I turn back to Hanako as she takes her shot. With the same face as before, she lines herself up and sharply pushes the cue. Just as before, she sinks the ball she was aiming for. It drops into the side pocket more cleanly than her last though. It looks as if she's getting a bit more into the groove of the game. Nicely done. She hesitates for a moment and begins to address me without turning her head. The orphanage was nice. It felt a bit like Yamaku does, and the staff were really kind. But as the years went on, I realized something. I was different. It feels so strange to hear her speak so candidly about herself. She's audibly forcing the words out. It reminds me of when she insisted she'd tell me about the fire. Hanako must feel that she has to tell me of such things if I'm willing to tell her about my own past. Her grip on the cue tightens as she continues to speak. Most of the other children there were up for adoption, just like I was. But unlike me, they gradually left, one by one. By the time I went to Yamaku, I was among the oldest children there. For a while, I helped with some of the younger children, but eventually... I laid a hand on her shoulder. She's forcing herself by now. It's okay. She looks mildly surprised for a moment, but then nods before setting down her cue and turning towards me. Do you really think so? Yeah, I think so. Even while Lily's away, I'll be around to protect you, right? Hanako looks at me for a long time, and I'm taken a bit off guard. Her expression hasn't changed from before, still looking somewhat maudlin, and silences between us aren't unusual. I think it's the fact that she's holding such prolonged eye contact that makes me feel a bit odd. I feel as if she's judging me. It's a very strange, vaguely uncomfortable feeling. Yes, the word protect is probably bad. Hanako? I understand. Thank you. She smiles and looks away a little, but it feels stilted. Hanako isn't very good at faking emotions, and this is no exception. I move to the table and take my turn to try and distract myself, but it doesn't seem to work. Does she think I'm not up to the task of helping her? Is she disappointed in me? I'm probably overthinking this. While her silences are just an accepted fact of life by now, sometimes I do wish she'd speak more. With a thud, I send the white sphere careening down the table into my target. Hanako sees what's happening just as I do. The ball hits hard, with the striped ball I'd intended to sink veering off towards the 8-ball. Sure enough, as both Hanako and I look on and bite our lips, they connect, and the black ball rolls leisurely into a corner pocket. All I can do is sigh. It looks like Hanako is smiling again though, so maybe it wasn't for naught. Ugh, that was an awful shot. You win then. It seems I'm getting pretty rusty after all this time. Hanako bends down and begins to shoot the remaining balls into the closest pockets. I almost ask if we could play another game, but a quick check of my watch confirms that the night is getting pretty late. Lily and Akira appear to be still drinking at the counter. Seems like we'll have to drag them away. Hisao? I turn back to Hanako, who's still looking over the pool table shooting balls. Her voice sounds different from before. I'm here for you as well. I suddenly find myself blushing. It's only natural that she'd respond this way, given what I said earlier, but it's still a shock to actually hear it. Just what is my relationship with Hanako? I want to protect her, to make her happy. I'm not really sure that it's something like love, but I don't think these are the same kind of feelings I have for Lily either. I feel sorry for her, having gone through so much in her life. Her parents died in a house fire and she lived in an orphanage for much of her childhood. I can't even imagine that kind of life. But I feel like there's so little I can do for her, especially now that Lily is going to be leaving the country. Hanako and I finish tidying up the tables and cues, and pick up Lily and Akira on our way out of the club. It feels like something changed between Hanako and me. I can't quite place what it is, but Hanako is acting differently now. I feel like we're further apart, if anything. So, you enjoy yourselves? Hanako and I both nod in agreement. The game was good, and we both did learn more about each other, so it's an honest answer. Lily appears to be a little distracted. Worried about the trip, Lily? She pauses before sighing and smiling weakly. A little. It means quite a bit. The comment earns her a clap on the shoulder from her sister. Hanako smiles back too. You'll be okay, Lily. I hope you can enjoy your time over there. Thank you, Hanako. I'll try to. It'll be nice to get to be back with my family after all, no matter for how brief a time it may be. With that, the four of us begin the walk to the car park where Akira's car is. We continue to talk between ourselves, but it's mostly just small talk. Right then, are you taking the bus, Lily? Lily motions to a large suitcase beside her. I'll have to take this with me, so I've booked a taxi. It'll meet us at the school gates in about 5 minutes. Ah, I see. Lily reaches down and feels out the handle of her suitcase. Its weight causes her some difficulty, so I quickly offer to take it myself. That is awfully kind of you, Hisao. She has no qualms about accepting, and I end up picking it up. It's not what I'd call light, but it's not exactly heavy either. I don't think I'll have too much trouble carrying it. Bleh. Well, thank you then. We should hurry though. If the taxi leaves, then it will take quite a while to book a new one. Are you ready, Hanako? Yeah, let's go. We rush to the gate as fast as we can, only to find that the taxi has yet to arrive. Well, nothing like a bit of exercise in the morning. The nurse told me that I should be doing that. I think he probably had other things in mind, Hisao, and probably with more regularity. Do you intend to be helping people with their luggage every day? I guess not. Looks like we've got a bit to wait anyway. How long should we wait for the taxi before calling them again? I would say another 10 minutes, but they've never let me down before. There's probably just a little traffic. Alright then. So how long is the flight to Scotland? About 16 hours if I remember correctly. It's a bit hard to tell with the changing time zones. So long. It's now that I realise Hanako's been unusually quiet, even for her. She doesn't handle stress well, so she's looking really uptight. Yeah, I can't imagine being on a plane for that long. I've only ever flown on short family holidays up north, so it really is quite hard to fathom. If Hanako's spent so much of her childhood at an orphanage, she's probably travelled very little, let alone flown. It's not too bad. I'll spend most of it either asleep or catching up on English. I hardly use that here, so I need to refamiliarise myself with it a little. Will your accent be a problem? I wouldn't worry about that too much. It may be an issue initially, but I should be fine once I get used to it. We all move to sit down on the small bench beside the school gate in silence. Strangely enough, even though I know that Lily is going away, I can't think of anything to say to her. Lily is a reliable person, so it might be because she isn't the one that I'm thinking of most. Lily might not be able to see it, but Hanako's chewing her fingernails nervously. I move to talk to her, but can hear an engine straining up the hill before I get the chance. Ah, that sounds like the taxi on its way. Well spotted, Hisao. I only just heard it as well. A small wave of pride washes over me. To have noticed something at the same time as Lily must mean that I've become more aware of my surroundings. Anyway, we won't have to call the taxi company, nor worry about missing Lily's plane. Once the taxi stops where we're standing, the driver rolls down the window and leans over. After confirming that, yes, Lily is the same Lily Satao that booked this trip, we sort out her luggage. The driver opens the trunk of the taxi and takes Lily's suitcase, with Lily climbing into the back seat as he loads her into the trunk and slams it shut. After getting back into his seat and shutting the doors, he waits for us to say our farewells. Have a safe trip, Lily. Take care of yourself. Hanako looks understandably downcast, and that much is obvious even in her voice. Of course I will. I'll be back before long, don't worry. There'll still be another person here for you too, won't there, Hisao? Yeah, of course. I turn to smile to Hanako, putting my hand on her shoulder. She only manages to keep eye contact with me for a couple of seconds, her cheeks red all the while, before turning back to Lily. See you, Lily. Goodbye. Lily gives her farewells to the both of us, with a fair measure of reluctance. Without much further ado, the driver starts the engine once more, and they begin the journey down the hill and towards the airport. The two of us stand at the gates for a long time, even after they've disappeared from sight, not really knowing what to do. So, what do you want to do? I don't know. How about we call it a day? No, because then... It's one of those things where, do you want to go into the city? Then she'll be surrounded by people, and that might make her feel worse. But if we say, let's call it a day, then she'll just be stuck in her head. And that might make her worse as well. I think it'd be good just to spend time with her. Because how about we call it a day? I think it's that word from before, protect. And I think the how about we call it a day is very kind of protecty, kind of oh you're weak and fragile and frail and you need people to protect you. And I think The key thing is what she said is, I'm here for you too, and we should show that and be like, yeah, let's spend time and hang out and go to the city. Yeah. Do you want to go into the city? The bus stop, standing by the school gate, like a mute sentinel, puts a strange idea in my mind. Do you want to head into town and look for a bookshop or something? We've got the rest of the day free. It's a long shot, as Hanako doesn't like going into the city. I count the fact that we managed to get her out there, even when it was so dark, as a small miracle. But I genuinely want to spend more time with her. Anyway, she's likely to just refuse and go back to... Okay. Really? Really? Let's go. I can't work out why Hanako has decided to agree with me, but I'm not about to ask her to change her mind. Stepping off the bus, I immediately noticed that a lot of people are around us. In hindsight, it should have been obvious. Of course, lots of people will be downtown on a Saturday afternoon. Hanako retreats close to my side, and I can feel her hand clutching my arm tightly. Her body is held against mine, and her head is bowed so low that her hat hides most of her scarring. So, where shall we go? A bookshop? Hanako's present, and my only other general living expenses have pretty much drained my budget. But I should be able to afford a few books. There's something I try to reserve a few funds for anyway. For a second, I think Hanako didn't hear me, but then I looked to my side and noticed her nodding almost imperceptibly. Oh, okay. Do you know of one? Actually, I do. We passed a few when Lily and I were looking for your presents. Hanako's expression clouds a fraction. I've got to remember to stop bringing up her birthday. You both spent a lot of time? Or maybe I misjudged the situation. Well, we wanted to make sure we got the right present after all. Hanako smiles and blushes a bit. It's a small treasure when she does. Anyway, there should be a bookshop just up ahead. Do you want to check it out? Sure. The crowds start to build as we head towards the bookshop along the raised walkways. Hanako latches her other arm onto me as well, making our progress a little slower. As we walk, the sound of the traffic makes me think of a possible distraction for her. I was wondering, Hanako, have you thought yet about when you're going to learn to drive? Driving? Yeah, you're kind of lucky in a way. There aren't a whole lot of students in Yamaku that are allowed to drive. It's not the best topic of conversation, but I want to try and distract Hanako from the situation. She's really high-strung right now. Then again, all I've done is make her feel awkward, since she's probably never thought about it. I wish I hadn't said anything. Before long, we are before one of the bookshops Lily and I passed by during our search. Gah, what kind of self-respecting bookshop closes on Saturdays? But bookshops don't make much money anymore, because of the internet. Curse you, Amazon! Amazon! I use Amazon, so I can't really complain, can I? Maybe they just had to close over weekends. She seems pretty knowledgeable about technology. I guess it's a pursuit that would lend itself well to someone who enjoys solitude. That's right. That is true. That is true. That's why I let's play. I guess that makes sense. It's easier to find books online. Anyway, it looks like this idea is shot. Anything else you'd like to do? If it's not a bother, could you show me where you bought my present? Sure, not a problem. I don't think it's that far from here.